Gopala Astrology channel, where the science meets astrology for common man's understanding. Subscribe and stay tuned to this channel for continued astrological updates. Hello, welcome to Gopala Astrology channel once again for an interesting video. Today's topic is multiple exaltation of points. So in classical astrology, we have learned there are certain exaltation points and the debilitation points. So the exaltation points are those which gives the maximum results for a particular planet, and debilitation results gives the most minimum. All right, but today the interesting part here is that with the modern astrology coming into picture, with a lot of research work that is done by Greenstone Lobo, we are going to add in certain additional things for our planet Jupiter and planet Saturn. Okay, so we will have some examples of these celebrities who have these additional exaltation planets, and we are going to see that we are not just having only one. As defined earlier, we are going to have multiple exaltation points. So many of you guys may become very happy to note that you too have an exalted Saturn, you too have an exalted Jupiter in your horoscope. All right. So let's begin the actual video. As classical astrology depicts this chart, it says that all the planets shown in this screen are exalted in these particular houses. If you are a follower of typical South Indian format, you know very well what are these houses. For example, Jupiter gets exalted in Zodiac sign of Cancer or Karkataka Rashi. Mercury gets exalted in Virgo or Kanya Rashi. Saturn gets exalted in Libra. Ketu and Rahu are given the assignments. There is slight confusion here. The Rahu Ketu gets exalted somewhere in between. The Rahu gets exalted in the half of Vrishabha Rashi or Taurus, and then half of Mithuna Rashi, and same goes to Ketu, half of Vrishchika Rashi or Scorpio, and half of Dhanus Rashi. So there is a different theory that is going on with Rahu Ketu. Let's not worry much about it. But Mars definitely gets exalted in Taurus, and Venus gets exalted in Pisces, and then Sun gets exalted in Aries zodiac sign. Moon, of course, Taurus. All right. So we have been taught about this, and we have been believing this and applying this for many centuries already. Okay, and now we have new research work of Greenstone Lobo, and many other modern astrologers have come to additional conclusions of exaltation and debilitation of planets. All right, so what I have emphasized here is I have put this concept, the new concept which I'm going to tell you, in my own practice, and then I found really it works very well. I will also show some of these celebrity examples, then you will clearly understand what it is, and I would request all our viewers to apply this new concept that I'm going to teach today. I'm not just anyhow telling, it's from my own personal experience of last 3 years now. It's really working. All right, let's just try to understand what is exaltation of planets to start with. See, for example, every one of us, we have our favorite spot. For example, if I am living in Singapore, I have a particular area. I like that place. I always like to go there, and I'll be very happy. Right? In some places, the planets are also very happy, and that is the best position for them to give the results. So don't ask me how exactly this is done. It is all by design of experiments, I can say. So our ancient sages have done the good part of the work, and they have given to you. So if you apply, you will definitely get it. So exaltation of planets are those areas where the planets are in the happiest position, and they give 100% of results of what they are supposed to give. At the same time, there is one more thing called Mula Trikona. Mula Trikona Sthana is something like it's going to give 75% of what it is supposed to give when compared to that of exaltation position of the planets. Okay, and the last one is debilitation, which I'm going to tell you. So debilitation is the place where planets are really not very happy. They are not going to give you the results. So in layman terms, it's as simple as that. Okay, so now how to apply this, and there is one more notion. Please do not get misunderstood that debilitation means the planets are going to give zero results. No, it's not that. So it's going to be 50% of what it is. It's become balahina. That means it's going to reduce in its strength, and that's all. It is not going to be zero. Okay, if it is in its enemy sign and it is Digbala wise, there are so many balas that we need to shed balas, we say, we need to study, then we have to come to a conclusion. But just presence of exaltation and debilitation will not define everything. So what we have understood so far in my practice is that debilitation is 50% results, Mula Trikona Sthanas gives you 75% of the results, and exaltation gives you the best results of the planet. And of course, additional things has to be there, but these are the general thumb rules in astrology. Okay, now this is the tabular column that normally is given. Sun gets exalted in Aries and Libra. It gets debilitated, and I explained to you already. Exactly opposite house of exaltation is debilitation house. All right, so that's what we learned. Now I'm going to just show this additional data, which is more precise. It talks about exact degrees in which the planets are exalted, and what is the deepest exaltation point. So let's see the Sun. So 0 to 10 degrees, especially 10 degrees of Aries, is the deepest exaltation point for Surya or Sun. And its Mula Trikona Rashi is in its own house, 1 to 10 degrees, So 1 to 10 degrees is called the 75% result giving position for Sun, and it is Mula Trikona Rashi. And the rest portion, that is from 10 degrees to 30 degrees of Leo, you can call it as own sign. All right, and exactly opposite to this 10 degrees is the 10 degrees of Libra, which is 180 degree opposite to that of Aries, and the Sun gets debilitated here. Sun has no power in Libra. All right, so the exact same compositions, we are going to put it opposite points of exaltation will be debilitation, that is rise and fall of the planets. All right, so if you take Moon, 3 degrees of Taurus, they get exalted, and between 4 and 30 degrees. Okay, you can call it as Mula Trikona Rashi of Chandra or Moon. Okay, and its own sign, the entire 0 to 30 degree of Cancer, we can say that it is own sign for Chandra or Moon. And debilitation point, deepest debilitation point is 3 degrees of Scorpio. At this point, it loses its power. Okay, and 28 degrees of Capricorn gives the maximum results for Mars. So it has the maximum there, 0 to 28 degrees. The whole of this span is an exaltation point for Mars, and 28 degrees it reaches the maximum, max out. Right, so that's the point. And then 0 to 10 degrees. Actually, some people are under the impression 0 to 12 degrees is Mula Trikona, but by and large, we have seen 0 to 18 degrees of Aries is going to be the Mula Trikona position for Mars, and Mars owns Aries and Scorpio according to classical astrology. Okay, and the exact opposite point of 28 degree Capricorn is 28 degree of Cancer. So I don't want to just keep reading, but I want to just talk about a little bit about Rahu. You can always take a screenshot of this, and you will see that Rahu does very, very well in earthy signs, and especially Taurus. So Rahu and Ketu are really non-existing planets. Physically, you do not see them. If you take a telescope in the night sky, you want to see Rahu and Ketu, you don't see them, but they are very high concentration magnetic concentration points. Okay, so they are called Hindus, and they do exist, and their power is very, very immense. And our rishis has assigned the Taurus to be the best position for Rahu, and Scorpio for Ketu. All right, and the Mula Trikona Rashi for Rahu is also considered as Cancer, and there are different theories about it. Okay, so I don't really go by the shadow planets much, but still, I have seen more so the Rahu gives the best results in Taurus, and Ketu gives the best results in Scorpio, and vice versa for the debilitation. Okay, so Mula Trikona and own signs, I have my own doubts, but still I just put it here for reference purposes. Okay, so this is purely from classical Indian astrology. Okay, so now I have got a very interesting slide here. If you are new to this concept, please understand that Jupiter and Saturn, I'm going to talk in more detail now. So Jupiter has its own house as Sagittarius. Okay, Sagittarius becomes its Mula Trikona Rashi as well. So I'm just talking about the ownership position. So the Jupiter's ownership position happens in Dhanus Rashi or Sagittarius, and we call it as one here. Okay, so the third house, fifth house, eighth house, and 10th house from its own house. These are the exaltation points of Jupiter. This is a good news for many of you guys now. Okay, if you happen to have Cancer, this is the zodiac sign of Cancer. The Jupiter always exalted here as well in classical astrology, but now it gets exalted in Virgo, it gets exalted in Aries, and it also gets exalted in Kumbha Rashi or Aquarius. This is a very new concept, and I have applied this. This is told by Greenstone Lobo, and his research work has proven it. And I have also tried this in multiple horoscopes of my own client base, and I have database, and I have found that this really works. Okay, exactly opposite house. I hope I have made this point very clear. If you are still in a doubt, you can always take a screenshot of this and then apply in your own horoscope just as it is. Okay, so Sagittarius, I don't get confused this as a lagna and all that. You may have different ascendants and different moon signs. It's totally irrespective of that. I'm just saying that Sagittarius is owned by Jupiter, and call that as number one. And from there, if you count the third place, that is Aquarius, fifth place Aries, the eighth place Cancer, and the 10th place Virgo. So these are the exaltation points of Jupiter. And now, on the contrary, exact opposite houses are going to be the fall houses, okay, or the debilitation points for Jupiter. All right. So in this case, in the second house from Sagittarius, okay, this is the first house. So second house of Capricorn, which is originally told by our Indian sages as debilitation point, which is correct. And now I am saying that it also gets debilitated in Pisces. Never assume that, oh, Pisces is the own sign of Jupiter. I have seen this many people having a failure in their life when Jupiter goes to Pisces. So please understand that Jupiter is a very jovial and a very rigid planet. It's a very ambitious planet too, and it's a planet full of wisdom. And Pisces is the zodiac sign of Neptune, actually. So it is the very it's very sattvic zodiac sign, where the spirituality becomes the highest priority. Okay, so Jupiter really doesn't do well in this position. If at all all these years you were under the impression that Jupiter owns Pisces zodiac sign, and it's going to do well for you guys, I'm sure you will see whenever the dashas and antradashas of Jupiter comes to you, you will not see very good results. Trust me, I have tried this with many horoscopes. All right, so the same thing goes to Gemini for Jupiter. It's also considered as a fall house. It doesn't really do well with Gemini. Okay, and Leo as well. Surprisingly, Sun and Jupiter are supposed to be the friends, but Jupiter really doesn't do well in Leo. And the same thing goes to Libra. Of course, Libra is owned by Venus, and it's the enemy of Jupiter, of course. And here is also the fall sign of Jupiter. So if any of you guys want to experiment your own charts, please take a screenshot of this, understand what it is, apply it, and see how the results went on in Jupiter Mahadasha and Jupiter Antardasha. And put your comments in the comment section. And if you have any questions, I will be really glad to reply back to you. All right, we have to experiment. We are the seekers. I want more and more questions on this video. All right, the next one is for multiple exaltation houses for Saturn. So what a good news here we have. So consider Capricorn as the own house for Saturn and put that as number one. And the same rule applies. The first house, the third house, the fifth house, the eighth house, and the 10th house. So from all these points, the 5 houses are there for Saturn to get exalted. All right. So So the people who have the Saturn in the Pisces, they will have the very, very good results of Saturn whenever the Dasha Antardasha comes. Of course, it's also depending on which house it is, but by and large, we have seen Saturn gives very good results in Pisces. It gives extremely good results in Taurus, because Taurus originally is owned by Venus in classical astrology, but we call it as planet X in modern astrology. Okay, but it does really well in Taurus zodiac sign. It does very well in Leo, and also classical astrology agrees that Saturn gets exalted in Libra. So this is a common house, but I'm giving you four more additional houses for deepest exaltation points for Saturn. All right. So exactly opposite to these houses are going to be the fall houses for Saturn. And if you think that you are having Saturn in Aquarius and it's a Mula Trikona Rashi and it's going to give me the good results, but answer is no, my friend. I have seen myself, many of the guys who have Aquarius Saturn are not doing well in that period of Saturn. Okay, Saturn definitely loses its power in Aries zodiac sign, which is also there in classical astrology. But all these days, you guys might have not heard that it also has a fall house in Cancer. Saturn cannot do well in Cancer. Saturn also does not do well in Virgo and Scorpio. So there are 5 houses in the amongst the 12 that Saturn really doesn't do well. You can verify, go back to your chart, and then put your comment. And I'm making a very bold statement here, because whatever horoscope I have been seeing and I'm referring and giving consultations, I have really found the problems in my clients, and that's why I fully agree with whatever Greenstone Lobo is putting in his research work. And I'm very proud to say that yes, this man is giving something, it is making sense to me at least. All right, I want every one of you to go back, study your horoscope in this way. If at all you are new to astrology, if not, you can write your comments, send me your date of birth, time of birth, and place of birth. Put it to grgopala@yahoo.com. I will be replying back to you whenever I have time. All right. Now, how to prove this? See, whenever you have an experiment done, and if you are successful, and we can always put it and write a journal about it. That's how the science goes about, and that's what this great man has done it in his work. And he predicts. He does the predictions based on this particular slide. I really want every one of you to take a screenshot of this particular slide and then make very good use of this slide. Okay, so let me tell you what is this slide all about. These are the 12 zodiac signs going in the clockwise direction, 1 to 12. Okay, and starting from Aries to Pisces. Now here, owner of this house, okay, it is all redefined in modern astrology, and I've been just applying this as it is. Whenever any consultation comes, I'm making use of this. Trust me, I just make use of this chart. Okay, so Mars owns Aries, we all know that, and Sun and Chiron gets exalted in this house. In the same way, the planet X or Kubera, the planet of money, the liquid cash, the stock exchange goes on. This planet X, Kubera, it owns Taurus. Okay, no more Venus. Venus doesn't own Taurus at all, and I have seen the reality of this. Okay, and then Moon gets deeply exalted in Taurus. In the same way, the Mercury owns Gemini. This is perfectly true. And planet Y or Vishwakarma is deeply exalted in Gemini. Okay, and Cancer has got the owner as Chiron. This is also a very good research work done by Greenstone Logo, and I fully agree with this. And I have found the truth in this, because it's a very emotional healer, the Chiron. Okay, and then it also represents the Bhumi, the landed properties and stuffs like that. So it's true that it gets exalted in Aries, of course, and then it owns zodiac sign of Cancer. That's a centaur present in Kuiper belt. Okay, Jupiter is exalted in Cancer zodiac sign. It is also as per our classical astrology. But now Neptune gets its deepest exaltation. It's the owner of Pisces. It gets its deepest exaltation. It's a very, very, very spiritual planet. Okay, it goes into this zodiac sign of Cancer and gets exalted. And Pluto Pluto is actually exalted in Leo, and there is a special exaltation point for Pluto, and there's a eagle Pluto, there is a scorpion Pluto, and there is a gray lizard Pluto. So I had explained that in my previous videos. Please refer to them. And planet Z, or planet Cupid, right, is also called Manmata. That is the one which rules Leo and not Sun. Okay, and I have used this planet Z very well in my practice, and I found that it works. Okay, and the next is planet Y. It's going to be owning the zodiac sign of Virgo, and according to him, nothing gets exalted. Mercury gets exalted in Aquarius and not in Virgo, according to Greenstone Logo. To me, it also makes much sense because Virgo is a very meticulous sign, and working hard day in and day out, repetitive task. Mercury is not about repetitive task. Mercury is about innovations, quickness, and logical mindedness. All right, so it doesn't really work well with Virgo. It works very well in Aquarius. Okay, in the same time, see, I'm making a lot of contradiction to the classical astrology. Those people who are viewing this video, who are very much into classical astrology, will get a little bit annoyed. I also got annoyed in the year 2015 and 2016 when I learned about these new things. But as and when I started applying, and I embraced this new system, and it works. All right, so Saturn gets exalted in Libra. Everybody knows about it for many years, but please understand, planet Z also gets exalted in Libra, and Venus is owner of Libra. Okay, in the same time, the Scorpio is owned by Pluto, the mighty Pluto. So many people may think the Pluto is very, very far, it has no much influence on human beings. That is totally nonsense. That is not correct at all. Pluto has the maximum influence. We have to really see the position of Pluto because it represents Mahakal Shiva himself. It is the constructive destruction planet. So wherever Pluto sits in your horoscope, you have to give maximum importance for that house, because go and verify this, and trust me, that particular area of your life will go through a lot of ups and downs, unless Pluto is exalted in Leo and things like that. Otherwise, if it is in a fall house like Aquarius and things like that, you will really have a lot of problems. Okay, and Uranus gets exalted in Scorpio, and a lot of creativity is there when you have Uranus sitting in Scorpio. Okay, so Chiron gets exalted in Sagittarius as well, and Jupiter is the owner of Sagittarius. No two things about it. Saturn owns Capricorn. Mars is the deepest exaltation point of Mars happens in Capricorn. No doubt about it. Sorry. The next one is Aquarius. Aquarius is owned by Uranus and not Saturn. Saturn is discipline, Saturn is structure, and it only owns Capricorn. It cannot own Aquarius because Aquarius is all about science, applying new things, experimenting. Saturn doesn't go with experimenting. Okay, Uranus is the planet which goes with all the creative work in the world that is done is all through Uranus. Okay, and Mercury really gets exalted in the zodiac sign of Aquarius, as because Mercury is very interested to take shortcuts, do something new in a new way, and of course, planet X, Kubera, gets the deepest exaltation point in Aquarius zodiac sign. Okay, in the same way, we have Venus. Venus goes to the exaltation in Pisces, which is there in the classical astrology too, but the owner, remember, not Jupiter, it is Neptune. Okay, so many other multiple exaltation points are also there. Planet X really does well in almost all the houses, but except its fall house of Scorpio and then Leo, except these two houses, because Planet X does very well in Aquarius, it doesn't do well in Leo, and one house for Planet X is Taurus, and it doesn't do well in Scorpio at all. Except these two houses, Scorpio, Leo, the Planet X does very well in rest of the houses. Okay, and now let us see the examples. Let us go back to Queen Victoria's horoscope. She was born with Taurus ascendant and Taurus moon, and this was Amavasya. She is born on a new moon day. Most of the royal people will be either born on a new moon day or a full moon day. and she has been the richest of all the queens that we have seen so far, as the British Empire had no sunset. Right? Look at her 11th house. So many planets, 6 planets in the 11th house. And she has the deepest exaltation of planet X as well, which is her Lagna Lord, and that is why look at Saturn. I told you that Saturn does very, very well in the zodiac sign of Pisces. Okay, this is a classical example. Saturn, being the Lord of ninth house, goes to the 11th house in its exaltation house. And that is where Queen Victoria became the richest of all queens. In her name, the Britishers conquered whole of the world. Okay, I have no two things about it. And look at her outer planets. Planet Z is extremely good in the 6th house. Okay, and then Neptune is in the 8th house of inheritance. Okay, and then Pluto does very well. 7th Lord in the 11th house. 7th house is others, and then it goes to the deepest exaltation point as well. Okay, the next one is MS Dhoni. Those people in India who are, of course, most of the Indians, we love cricket, and MS Dhoni has been the god of cricket for 2 centuries, 2 decades for sure. And look at his exaltation points here. Jupiter does very, very well in Virgo. I had told you this. This is the 10th position from Sagittarius. If you consider this as the first, if you count 10 houses, Jupiter goes to the 10th house from its own house, right? And it happens to be his Lagna or the ascendant as well. So this is the man who did very well with this Jupiter. And of course, there are other planets which are very, very good in his horoscope. His Uranus is exalted, and that's why he had that in the 3rd house. He started doing that helicopter stroke and things like that. So those who knows cricket, they know very well that Dhoni was a very unique type of a batsman who was very good in his numbers with his planet Y exaltation as well. Okay, this planet gave him the World Cup. He brought this World Cup because of this planet Y and Uranus. These are the 2 things, and then Jupiter, of course, his wisdom. All right, so he has a Gajakesari Yogam, and this happens to be the best position for Jupiter to be there. The next example, Sachin Tendulkar, right? So he's one of the greatest batsmen that ever India has produced. And this man, look at his exaltation points. Saturn goes to Taurus. So Saturn gets exalted in Taurus. Very, very important. So this is the 5th place, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5th place from Capricorn. So Saturn gets exalted, and it has given him the work, Karmasthanam for Sachin Tendulkar. So 6th Lord goes to the 10th house, connection between 6th and 10th. Definitely he will be very good in competition. 6th house is all about competition. Saturn gets exalted, 6th Lord getting exalted in the Karmasthanam for Sachin Tendulkar. And look at his planet Z. It is in its own house, right? So he is a celebrity. Everybody loves Sachin Tendulkar. He's the man of no enemies, and he is loved by his motherland people more than anyone else, right? So he did great job actually. So, and of course, planet X in the 11th house. 10th Lord goes to the 11th house. This is also a very, very good combination. Mars is exalted. 6th house Mars made him very competitive master blaster. All right, so that's all. And so you can see that Saturn gets exalted, not just in Libra. It does very, very well in Taurus. Next, the great name in internet now. You just go to British politics, you will see the name of Rishi Sinak, right? So what is so special about this guy? So look at the position of Saturn in the 2nd house of Leo. It also gets very, very well positioned in Leo, and it does very well here. So Rishi Sinak, the way he talks, he impresses everyone. Saturn in the 2nd house in exaltation point. Okay, of course, he has other planets too. He has Jupiter, but this Jupiter is not a good Jupiter. Sometimes he can speak something, and that video, famous video of Rishi Sinak, went viral. And sometimes he can talk like that. That is Jupiter in the foul house, right? So this is a very classical example of a great speaker, and then sometimes he can make a blunder mistake with Jupiter in the second house as well. So not all Jupiters are good. Jupiter does very well in those green houses which I showed you before, but Jupiter may not do well in Leo. Okay, and at the same time, look at his Uranus. So Uranus is in the fifth house. He thinks different. He thinks out of the box, and he wants to institute something new way of governing things, and that's what has impressed the British people. And he has very high chances, 95% probability of being the next British Prime Minister. He's going to make, if at all this happens now, it's going to be a history created. A man of Indian origin is going to be the British Prime Minister. All right. And look at his Chiron. The Lagna Lord, Chiron, goes to the deepest exaltation point in Aries. So in the 10th house of Sun, government. So he's going to occupy, Sun also is exalted for him. He's going to occupy a very important position, and he's going to make well as a prime ministerial candidate, I can say. So far, he has done very well in his finance ministry. And look at why finance ministry. Planet X, 11th Lord, Planet X or Kuvera, comes to his brain, comes to his mind, comes to his lagna. So this is what made him the finance minister for last 2 years, right? So he has done fairly well. And look at his planet Y, which is planet of numbers, and this in the 12th house of foreign lands gave him a MBA degree in the foreign land as well. So a lot of good things to speak about this horoscope. The Lagna Lord gets exalted along with the government Sun. So this is really good. All right, so that's all about it. So you can see so many examples. I have just chosen few of them who are in the limelight, and I'm very sure that this new concept that is being told in this video, you guys are going to verify. Take a screenshot of those two slides of exaltation and debilitation points, and go back to your own horoscopes, go back to your own friend's horoscope, your relative's horoscope, and verify and see whether I'm very curious to get the feedback from you guys, and we are going to seek the knowledge of astrology together. All right, so we come to the end of this video. If you have any questions, please type it in the comment section, and I'm always happy to answer back to you. Thank you very much. If you are not subscribed, you are a first timer to this channel, please do subscribe, because I'm going to put more and more knowledgeable videos like this. Thank you.